Yeah. Now I got it now, 600.
Find us in there, but as long as you.
And you're in trouble.
Supply and demand, right?
Yeah.
Oh, good home. Yeah.
Fun swag for movie night.
Yeah.
Moana 2.
Yeah. Celebrating his birthday still.
Pushed it.
That's the pleasure of meeting our motto. On that day? Yeah.
Oh, it's a great
The view's really. And you agree, that's why I would do this. First thing. Yeah.
I didn't do it. I mean, they choose family if you're good. They do their chicks.
No.
No, I did.
What time did it start?
There's 3.
Oh,
I came right at the end. Oop, am I on already?
That's true.
Heard from Jay, right? Okay.
Okay.
Hi, everyone. Can we start off with an introduction from our interpreter, please? Oh, sorry.
Yes, good afternoon, everybody. I'm Andrea with the Community Language Cooperative. We're going to be practicing language justice today, and we're going to have simultaneous interpretation so that we can communicate in the language of our heart. It's going to be in English and in Spanish. Once we turn on the interpretation, if you're on Zoom, you're going to see a globe at the bottom of your screen where you're going to be able to select your preferred language. For those presenting today, please remember to speak at a conversational pace in English because Spanish is 20 to 25% longer, so it will take me longer. And also speak very close to your microphone. Hola a todos, soy Andrea con la Community Language Cooperative. Vamos a estar practicando la justicia del lenguaje el día de hoy y tendremos interpretación simultánea en inglés y en español para que podamos comunicarnos en el idioma de nuestro corazón. Una vez que aprendamos la interpretación, si estás en Zoom, por favor, dale clic al globo que va a aparecer en la parte inferior de tu pantalla donde podrás seleccionar tu idioma. And host, we can start interpretation now.
Thank you, Andrea. I'll call this work session for the Sheridan City Council to order for July 14th, 2025. The time is 6:04 p.m. We have all members except for Councilmember Moreno, who's going to be out tonight. Do we want to stick with our original agenda order?
Yes, Mayor, I believe so.
Okay, so we're going to start off with the quasi judicial workshop from our attorneys.
Hello, everyone.
Hi,
Is it on?
I think it is. Maybe
Okay.
just move it a little bit closer.
Yeah,
There
we
you
want
go.
to make sure.
Perfect.
I'll try to speak slowly, but please tell me if I'm not. Hi, my name is Nina Williams. I work with Betsy Stewart, and I focus on general land use and also general local government. So we just thought this was an important refresher. I know I've heard it's a refresher for a lot of you, but it's always good for you to hear, for the staff, for anyone listening from the community, just to have this reminder as it relates to quasi-judicial matters and hearings. So if you go to the next slide, that'd be great. So when explaining what quasi-judicial is, it's good to explain what it isn't. So it's not legislative. So most of what you all do is legislative. You're passing an ordinance to amend your code. You're passing a resolution of general applicability as it relates to rates, or just something that applies to broad application in most of your city. When we're talking about quasi-judicial, it's taking that code, taking that law, and applying it to one or a very limited amount of properties, or like a liquor license or that kind of thing is quasi-judicial, because it's taking the code you already have and applying it to a specific set of facts and a specific property. So I put land use approvals, license hearings, nuisance abatement. So if you can go to the next. So why is it so important is because of the Constitution. We want to make sure, it's kind of why I always joke with my cities that I work regularly with, is that's why I might jump up and down about these matters, is just to try to protect everyone's constitutional rights. So especially not taking away, in this case, property or affecting property without due process. And all the communities that we work with want to do that. It's not about that. It's like, oh yeah, that's important, but how do we, these reminders are important to see, how do we accomplish that? It's also important that everyone who has an interest in the case, that could be the property owner, that could be residents, interested residents, either right nearby or within the city, hear from you, hear how you're making your decision. And they know that by reading if they look at the packet, or if they're looking at, or if they're in the hearing, they're listening to the staff presentation, they're listening to your comments, and they're listening to the community feedback. And then they're listening to you, how you get to your decision. So they're all hearing that from the same sources in the same room. So that's why it's super important. And then it makes it so it's a fair hearing. So you guys are decision makers. And then if someone does want to appeal this decision, it goes to the district court, but then the court will look at how did you make your decision? And it's important that's in the confines of that public hearing. Thank you. So you want it to be impartial. So I'm sorry, you want it, yes. So it might be affected. You want everything to be partial. I said it the wrong way. There's three ways that your quasi-judicial hearing or matter might be affected. And I kind of broke it down into these three categories, from observing land use hearings, and both on the developer side and the local government side for myself over 20 years. So I kind of this has been growing and growing, this explanation. So again, there's three ways to be impartial. We want to be that. Is ex parte communication. So I wrote on the top of many of my slides, demystifying Latin terminology. I don't like that the law is still these legal terms, but it is sometimes used. So what it is somebody communicating with you, one of you or a few of you, outside the confines of the public hearing. So I put an example, someone comes up to you at River Point to express their concern with the development application. This is a small community, that's going to happen. We'll talk about what we do, but where it could be very improper, I mean, that we'll talk about what to do, but is if maybe one developer is talking to you off to the side, like you definitely don't want that to happen. Or again, even a resident, we're going to talk about how to explain to them. But these communications, again, back to what I said previously, they should all be in the public hearing. They should all be out in the open. People should understand how you're making those decisions. They can't understand that if you're having side conversations. So sometimes I liken it to, I haven't watched much Law and Order, but when the judge calls for both the defense attorney and the prosecutor to approach, if there are exceptions, but usually they're not talking to one or the other alone, except with express authorization. But a judge typically, if you go in front of a judge, you wouldn't want the judge talking to one side and then you're not there. That you would perceive that as unfair. So when you're sitting here, you're sitting as a judge. That's why it's called quasi-judicial. Again, because you're applying the code that you already have in effect to a particular property. Another way impartiality may be affected is prejudgment or bias. So if you gave a speech, or you wrote on Facebook, or you said you ran and you put all over Nextdoor, I'm against any new development. I'm going to vote for any new development that happens. So you're kind of showing before the facts even come to you that you've already made your mind up. That's not fair to the person in front of you. I always say it's not an applicant in front of you does not have the right for you to say yes to what they're asking for. They just have a right to a fair hearing, a fair consideration. And if you're saying that no matter what it is, I'm not going to vote, these are exaggerated hypothetical examples, but to make a point, if you're saying I'm never going to vote for anything with development or anything with affordable housing or anything with a developer who's not from this part of the state, then you're showing that your mind is made up and you're not going to hear what's in front of you. You're not going to take it fairly. You're not going to apply the code fairly to the situation. So try not to do that, and definitely not in writing or you don't want to. You want to come clear to the hearing that your mind is not already made up. Any questions? And then the third is kind of obvious, very technical, but if you have a conflict of interest, so you or a private or immediate family have a private or personal interest. I give an example of your spouse is owning a restaurant seeking a liquor license. You'd obviously, well, actually, what do you do? We'll go to the next slide. So how do you cure this? You could either recuse or disclose on the record. That's the two ways. So some things, like, for example, if the neighbor came up to you at the store, the coffee shop, and they said, I don't like this new development, you better vote no. What you should say is to that person, listen, I want your voice to be heard. Please come to the hearing. I don't know the date, but it'll be on the website. Or here's how you submit your public comment if you can't come. Here's the email address. I want to make sure that everyone hears what you have to tell. And also I want you to know that when we sit as a kind of the judge for that hearing, and we want to be fair. We want to make sure that what you're saying is heard by everyone, and that we're not having these side conversations. That's a way to deal with a practical matter, because again, these are your neighbors. You're not going to be like, no, the lawyer told me not, and the lawyer told me not. You're just going to explain it. You're going to say it's fairness. If you could even say, if you were going to go in front of planning commission, or if you're going in front of city council, you would want there to be fairness. I want to do the same thing. So if something has happened that someone talks to you but you could still decide the case fairly, you might want to disclose before the hearing starts. If you have a direct conflict, if you have prejudgment bias that your mind is already made up, it's not fair for you to be a sitting judge on this. You'd want to recuse yourself. So at the bottom, I say, when in doubt, ask your attorney. But when I say ask yourself, sometimes people have asked me for hearings, can you ask me this publicly? Because I want to answer, because a lot of times people, how do I say it? A lot of times either you will think it's good to be sensitive towards, like, oh, should I recuse yourself? Or a resident will accuse you and you're like, no, I can do all these. So we'll ask these questions. We don't have to ask them publicly. You can call us privately. Everyone should have Betsy's contact information. And you could also, speak to your city manager too. He will either answer, or he'll say, or he might say, okay, let's loop in the attorney. So are you able to decide the case fairly only on the evidence in front of you? You'll think, does an actual conflict exist? Am I going to financially benefit from this? Does a perceived conflict exist? Did I already make up my mind? Do I know personally? And that's the thing, no one can tell you other than yourselves, and you're all here for public service. Only you could know whether your mind's already made up and you could decide something fairly. The conflict, we could talk with you. I still will talk it through with you. I do that all the time. But if you say, sometimes people are like, oh, my next door neighbor's uncle is the softball coach. And that's the person in front of me, and we'll talk through it. It's like, well, no, you still can you still make a decision? Yes. Okay. So we walk it through. That all make sense? So we'll go to the next, if we could. So some things that I recommend to ensure impartiality is to follow the process set in code. Now, this is the part where I know it seems obvious in this vacuum that we're talking about this, but it's always, these slides are meant to be a resource when there's a contentious hearing and the whole room is filled with your neighbors, and you're going to listen to all the neighbors, but you want to make sure that you're following the code, because especially when it regards to someone's property rights, when we go back to the Constitution, they have a right if they purchase a property that you will follow the code. Again, it doesn't mean that you're going to say yes to everything someone asks. That's not what that means. It means that you're going to look through the code, you're going to apply the factors, and only you will know in your community how those factors are affected. But I've seen a lot of times again, we're human, so emotions get involved, which is it's hard, right? But people are being emotional and enthusiastic. They're your neighbors, and you don't want to upset anyone, but you have to go back to the fact that what did the code say when when the person applied for this? So you're gonna look at the factors. A lot of your staff, planning staff should, or if it's a clerk for a license matter, liquor licensing, will hopefully listen to the report. Here's what the code says. Here are the factors. So then you already know, okay, I'm gonna judge this hearing from the lens of what's in the code. As I hear my residents, which of them are talking to code factors, and you contrast that with what's your personal feelings, what's your subjective feelings, what do you think that property would be better suited as? That's not really fair if just in that context. It's what is, what's in the code, because a lot of times people have a strong feeling like, oh, I always thought that property should be an Applebee's and now it's gonna be housing. Well, if this code allowed it for it to be housing, that's not something that you should look at. It's in front of you for a reason. It's in front of you because you do need to apply the code, but it's not, oh, I would really think this is better suited as this or that.
And Nina, before you go on,
Yeah,
jump
thank
in
you,
here real quick.
please.
Yeah. And as you guys are aware, so that's like one of staff's main roles, is to put in front of you, here's what the code says in this case, and doing an analysis for you of saying, the code says you can consider this, the code says you can consider that. And staff will do that work for you and sit there and say, okay, we've looked at what the code says you can look at. Here's our analysis of it to help you then make a decision on that. You don't have to know all of that up front. It will be part of the process. And you guys know that, but just thought I'd throw that out there.
Yeah, that's really helpful. Please keep jumping in. So again, base your decisions on fact, law, evidence, testimony in front of you. Not because, oh no, I would never do that, or that, I don't like that guy, or whatever. Again, these are exaggerated examples, but and I mentioned it before, but the public hearing creates a complete record. So you are the fact finder, you are the judge, and whatever's in the record is what you should consider. So again, not side comments, not just general feelings about development. It's what's in front of you. And should a decision be appealed, again, it goes to district court. And district courts are very hesitant to overturn a local body because they know you're closest to it. So they will only overturn if your decision is what they call arbitrary and capricious. So it's really, all you have to do is make sure you follow the code, make your decision yes or no, or yes with conditions based on the code factors in front of you. If it's just based on subjective feelings, that's just feels unfair, right? So that will probably be overturned, but they're very hesitant. They give great deference to the local boards because you know what's going on in the community. You know the way your code was written or why it was written, that kind of thing. I always say think out loud during deliberation. So it's good because everyone will hear why you're making the decision. You could even say like, thank you for all the residents that spoke. We're looking at the factors and I feel that factors 4 through 7, or, you'll say whatever they are, were met or not met, however the case may be. So people understand your reasoning. Again, your reasoning is based on the code. It's not just the code, it's the application of the facts to the code. So it's not black and white. That's why you're making a decision, right? But as long as the decision is based on the guidelines in the code, but you could say, well, based on what I heard, it feels like the applicant didn't prove X, Y, Z. So it's always good to think out loud. A lot of some of my counsels think, oh, we shouldn't say too much. No, think out loud because it shows that you're making objective, thought out, rational decisions. So you're the judge.
And also, Nina, I'll throw it, if it does end up in court, God forbid it does end up in court, the court can only consider what's on the record, what you say. So if you're, for any reason, you want to have the court make sure that they know what you were thinking as a council member when you're doing this, if you don't say it out loud, they won't know. They cannot consider it. You can't send them a letter later saying, oh, I meant to say this, or my feeling about this is, just so you know, when you're making your decision, district court, they won't consider that. It's only what's on the record.
That's a good point. And then also the people in the room will understand, because I've seen it where the room is filled and it's a decision that goes probably a different way than most of the residents want. But 95% of the people understand if you explain your decision, because you're also talking to those residents too, right? They're also have an interest in this. So there's always going to be a handful of people in any type of world or any family dynamic who they don't think it's fair unless it goes their way. But for 95% of the people, they'll be like, oh, you know, maybe I didn't agree with that, or I did agree with it, but they really explained their decision. They tried to be fair. They looked at the factors in the code. They applied it fairly. Thank you. So the next two pages are just an article that I wrote a very long time ago. So it's just a good resource said a different way. So we can, sorry, go back fast and then to the next. Yeah. So now we're up to conducting public hearings. So did everything make sense about quasi-judicial? Any questions? Okay. So conducting public hearings, I've been told that you do a really good job with this. So this is just reiterating or reaffirming. You want to make sure everyone's heard and appreciated. Again, it doesn't mean that you never can make everyone happy. You probably already know this by being elected officials, but that at least that they were heard and they were appreciated. So if there's a hearing where there's a lot of people, I mean, any type of hearing, but especially when there's a lot of people, it's always good to announce the rules, because think of that person that might be the first time and the last time they're ever going to come in this room and see the way you operate. So they might not know how you operate. So you might say, you know, we see there's a lot of new people. This is how we do things. This is our order. Everyone has X amount of minutes to speak. This is how it's going to go. It's always good that there's no back and forth, because again, this is a hearing. You're gathering evidence. If there are questions, I mean, you could use your discretion. You have a very experienced mayor, and it's just that when you go back and forth, it's more, you're there to hear. Think of it as a judge. Like you don't, if you were to go to court, you don't ask the judge. It's that you're there to, the people are there to give you testimony. Think of it like that. So it's to be directed towards you. Give everyone your full attention, which, you know, I have no reason to believe you're not. This is just my rules that I share with everybody. Don't discuss other applications in our process. That's really important. A lot of times in hearings, I have to jump in and say, this sounds like we should talk about this after the public hearing. You know, we're here to talk about Mary and Joe's, you know, application. Let's talk about Bill and Bobby's application after. Or you might talk about, oh yeah, we really should amend this code because I don't really like how this is working. Okay, let's put a pin in that. Let's talk to staff. End of the meeting, preferably the next meeting, you know, make a little note. So, because you're there again, the confines of the public hearing is about this application that's in front of you. And the applicant has a right to make a full presentation. They have a right to make multiple witnesses, to respond after public comment closes if applicable. Thanks. This is just a model public hearing outline. If you have one, you probably have one similar. If you don't, take it or leave it, but I just thought this is helpful to include. And then this is a really good slide that is more like a resource that you'll tuck it away, but I do want to point out a few things in it. You want to make, so you do need to take action. So it's either approving something, denying something, or approving with conditions. And then in very rare circumstances, you're continuing it for a very particular reason. But the applicant has a right for you to make a decision. Again, that doesn't mean yes, exactly what they're asking for. It just means that they know, can they do what they want to do with their property? So, or their liquor license or whatever the case may be. So, because I've been in case, all these things, little notes that I have are because I've seen, you know, the opposite. So I've been in hearings where there's no motion, or do we have to make a motion? Yes. It doesn't have to be, again, it doesn't have to be to appease everyone, but you do need to make a decision. Yes, no, or yes with conditions. You can make amendments with a motion, or you can approve with the conditions.
And Nina, am I good?
Please, yeah.
Council members are not able to abstain on those types of things, especially like liquor matters and things like that.
Well, unless they're recusing.
Yeah, unless they recuse themselves, right? But if they're participated in there, you can't just say, you can't punt, right? You can't say I abstain and don't want to vote on this. You have to vote on it.
Yes, yes, unless you've recused for a real reason. Because a lot of times I talk things through again privately, and people I didn't think I should recuse because, and when you get to the bottom of it, it's because it's a hard decision. Because sometimes you're going to be in that situation, and I'm not immune to the fact that it's very easy for me to come in here. I don't live here, but I know it's a small community, but I do come from a small community. I do understand. I've seen these over and over again. So I don't personally understand, but I do understand that it is difficult, but it is necessary, because that person and the community has the right for you to make a decision. You're the best suited to make the decision. You're elected to do this. So yeah, unless there's a true reason to recuse yourself, they have a right to have you make a decision. And then it's important to make the finding. That's like thinking out loud. That's like following maybe if staff has different points in their memo. And then this, I wrote vote on the application before you because I've seen this happen where people are like, oh, someone is rezoning. For example, I put the multifamily residential. That's what you vote on, yes or no. I've seen where people are like, well, maybe it's for this, it's better for this residential, but that's not what is in front of them. Sometimes the applicant can read between the lines with what you're all talking about, and they might in the middle of a hearing say, well, we're either going to continue this or we're going to, take back our application, reapply, but you can't change the application before them. That's their application to make, and you either vote yes, no, or yes with conditions. Does that part make sense?
Mhm.
And then failed motions, I mean, we're always here to help you procedurally. But if a motion fails, so someone makes a motion to approve, let's say, and only 3 of you vote for it and 4 vote against, nothing still has happened, right? Because the motion failed. So then again, the person has the right for a decision to be made, which is a majority of you to make that decision. So then someone on the prevailing side, which would be the no side, should make a motion the other way. Or it would be motion to deny or a motion to approve with conditions. So that you want to leave so that there's a vote has occurred. So a majority of you have decided on something. Because otherwise it's just in a standstill. And that's the same as not voting for anything. And then I added one of these points is don't come do your own research or submit your research. You are the judge. You're not another applicant or presenter. That's for the public, because I've seen that happen as well. Thank you. So a lot of times when I give this training, people get all nervous. Oh, we can't deny anything. No, that's not true. Anything in the code that allows you, the factors aren't met or anything that's objective, not just your own personal opinions, are appropriate grounds for denial. Anything in that code, those applicable code sections. What's not okay to deny is just if you ask the developer to do something above and beyond and they don't agree, or again, your personal belief. And if you say, well, I'll vote for this if you paint everything purple, as an exaggerated example, and they say no, and you're like, well, then I'm voting against it. And your code does not require everything to be painted purple, which I'm pretty sure it doesn't. And that's the same thing with the use or density. So sometimes people say, well, the only thing I'm against is the density, and the density is not the part that's in front of you. The density is allowed. Like let's say 18 units for whatever development, I'm making it up, but that's allowed. That's not what you're voting on. You're voting on, a different part of the code, or just that you can't say, well, I would like this if there was a different density. If they're allowed to have that density, that's a better example than the color, painting purple, because I've seen that happen. That can't be your reason for voting no if the code allows by right that density. That make sense? And I think we have one more. Then we talk about your 3 choices are to vote yes, no, or yes with conditions. But again, your conditions need to be objective. If there's one thing we take away from this whole thing is just to be objective and not based on your personal opinion. Again, it goes back to general fairness, but so conditions that talk about the technical requirements of the code, typically a staff will bring that up. They'll say, we recommend you approve with these 3 conditions, and one of them is to make sure that an easement is recorded onto the plat. Or any things that we list here. If traffic is part of your code for a particular application, you are allowed to say, well, but okay, I hear what everyone said, this should be approved with this caveat for traffic because that's part of the code if it is. If the applicant voluntarily offers conditions, that you can add that. What's unacceptable, again, density when it's not appropriate, where the code doesn't allow. Something that's outside the scope. I was in a recent hearing where it was all about the architectural elements, but this code had no architectural requirements. So that's not fair. And it was a city, and it was about the county building, and they thought the county should comply. But the code doesn't have this code didn't have architectural requirements or design review board like some codes do. So you can't just randomly on the Monday night decide that this is the person in front of you that's going to have, if you do an architectural, again, you change your code for future applicants. A lot of times you're in maybe a kind of uncomfortable position where you're like, oh, I didn't realize the code allowed that, or but you follow the code, you do what's right for this hearing, and then you ask your city manager to direct his staff to look at the code in the future for similar, for the future. And then technical requirements, it's good to ask staff for the hearing if you can. Then staff will come prepared to answer them at the hearing for everyone to hear, but at least they're prepared. I feel like that's always a good thing to jump in, because especially if it's something very technical. And then if you do have technical experience, you don't discard that when you walk into a room. However, if let's say if you're an engineer and architect, 'cause I've seen this happen too, that engineer has spent like hundreds of hours looking at the design, ask your questions, but you should allow them to or know that they've looked at certain requirements. Again, ask questions, have them explain. But when it's very hyper technical, have your staff explain your question, but then rely on that staff member unless you have a reason to believe that they're not, there's no competent, which I don't think is the case. So I always think that's important, again, to explain this in this type of setting. And then I've heard it's a refresher, you all are very experienced, but at least you have it in the back of your mind. I think that's the last, but you could, oh no, open meetings. I think if you have any questions about open meetings, I know we're tight on time. So, okay. This is a good reminder. You probably know this, but the law defines a meeting as discussing public business in any way. So that could be Facebook Messenger with 3 of you. It could be a group chat. It could be group email. The statutes have been updated to say it has to be public business and it's not non-substantive. So even if you're all like, will there be pizza served at the meeting? That's not a violation of open meetings. But anything public business, think the public has the right to know that it's occurring, and they don't have advance notice of your group text. So that's what I always that's why maybe you'll see some of the staff jump in, don't reply all, or that kind of thing. So, and then executive sessions are an exception to the open meetings law. So open meetings law is for transparency, right? Executive session gives very small exceptions to where not being the most transparent is in the interest of the public. So the best way to explain this is real estate transaction. If you're purchasing real estate, it benefits the taxpayers if that's not in the open. Because if you tell whoever's negotiating on your behalf, like, oh, we're going to pay $200,000, won't go more than $400,000. So that would be obvious if you said that in public, if the other side heard, that kind of thing. So that shows you that there are limited circumstances where having a discussion in private helps the public interest. And only in those circumstances are you permitted to even go into executive session. And you need 2/3 of you to vote, and you need to explain why you're going in. So that's open meetings. Nothing to do with quasi-judicial, but this is part of legal training. So now I think that was the last slide. Any questions or feedback?
Ready? No? You're all ready for whenever we have our next public hearing? Right.
Great, thank you.
Thank you so much.
And I'd just like to emphasize one of the takeaways that Nina had on there was that ask questions. Your staff is here to ask questions. If you're not sure, call me, call Nina, call Jenna, call Andrew, call us and ask us and say, okay, I just ran into this scenario. What should I do? And that's what we're here for, is to help you guys on that. Because again, the worst case scenario is that you end up disqualifying yourself from being able to participate in the process. And then you're not representing the citizens of Sheridan. You're not doing any good to anybody. So that's what you want to avoid, is disqualifying yourself from the process, right? You can have very strong feelings about it, but let's make sure we're going about it the right way and in a fair way so that you can still participate and vote. Okay.
Anybody? Any feedback or questions? No? Okay. Great. Well, we'll move on to a review of agenda items.
Yep. Yes, let's do that.
Yeah.
So, the first thing I'd like to ask Mel and Niffy, if you guys don't mind, however you want to do it. Tonight, we have in front of you the approval of the contract with ESG for the building improvements, energy improvements to our buildings, which we've talked about in several sessions. And tonight we'll be approving that contract for implementation of those improvements. And we want to be able to kind of walk council through that to make sure that it's clear what you're going to be voting on tonight and see if you have any questions on that. So Mel, Niffy, I don't know which one of you wants to start off or how you guys want to do it, but.
Yeah, hello, Mayor. Hello,
Hi.
Council. Thanks for having us. I'm going to hand it immediately over to Niffy because he knows the ins and out of it.
Great.
Evening, Mayor.
Welcome back.
Thank you for having me back. I did come prepared. I sent out a PowerPoint. Devin let me know that the overview of the project wasn't necessarily what you were interested in this evening. So I made sure I downloaded hopefully enough collateral that I can answer all of your questions with whatever they might have to pertain to. So thank you for the opportunity.
Great. Would you go through, I'd sent that list of questions about the materials were provided, and a lot of it had to do the fact that we weren't given the IGA in our packet, so it didn't quite hang together,
Sure, can do. So
Yeah.
just at the top, I think one of the important things to note when we're doing a contract review is this is a contract that's provided by the state of Colorado through the Colorado Energy Office. Our firm feels strongly that when you have someone like the state's architect, the energy office, all of those folks who have done, as you say, the brain damage to go through something, we don't want to rip that up personally. And we also feel like it gives us a lot more credibility when we're bringing that to you and saying, hey, this isn't our contract. We're not trying to pull a fast one. This one is coming from the state. So that's one of the reasons why a lot of the language is boilerplate and we don't really want to touch it a lot. The state has told us that it is your contract, so you are able to do whatever you wish with it. So we did get some red lines from Mr. Dittman, it's city attorney, and we had updated some of that language. Another thing to note is the references. So one of the big things that I try to avoid when putting together a contract is putting things in multiple places. If I've got it in the base contract, and then I also have it in an exhibit and I changed it somewhere, which one is the final word? So I've tried to to follow that kind of a thinking of, hey, I'm going to reference the investment grade audit. So there's lots of areas where it just says reference this section of the investment grade audit or the IGA. And then also a lot of the language is boilerplate, specifically Schedule A. I think you had a question about that, Madam Mayor.
Yeah.
And I'm sorry to interrupt,
Yes.
Niffy, but I meant to preface this. You guys have a hard copy of the investment grade audit in front of them. So they have that there to be if you're referencing or looking at any of that there. So yeah, okay, here we go. There we are on some of that. So I forgot to mention that is there for, they have that in front of them.
Certainly.
Good.
And that is a heavy lift, that investment grade audit. Your staff has looked through it. The state energy office has looked through it. And there's some back and forth record of reviews showing any questions or clarifications. Some are typos, some are more substantive, saying, hey, you may do work like that in other jurisdictions. We prefer you not do it here, and we make changes accordingly. The investment grade audit serves as our scope of work. It's saying this is what we're going to give you. It outlines specifically, we're doing the windows, we're putting solar shades on them. It is a little warm in here. I thought maybe I didn't need to wear a jacket at a certain point. So
Believe me, Niffy, we've been talking about those solar shades for a while now. We're like going, oh, it's going to be so nice when those are in, because we definitely can feel it in our offices and in the building for sure. Yeah. And this room particularly, yeah,
It's really hot today.
yeah.
they're coming. So, and so Schedule I think in my email that I referenced, that's that record of reviews that shows that here's the questions that were had. So you have not only staff that are able to review this and go through and say, this is the scope that we want. They've been with us on all the site walks. You have an independent party in the Colorado Energy Office of expert engineers who have their vested interest is in making sure that this program is successful, which means your project has to be successful or our program can't continue. And that's happened in other states where there's not faith in the program because there's not good oversight and review from a third party. So that's where you have an opportunity to rest assured that eyes have been put on the contract and on the scope of work. There was a specific question on escrow in the contract. That again is boilerplate. That's how a lot of folks used to fund things, was they'd get their loan, put everything in an escrow account, and then we would send an invoice and draw on that escrow. Down the street, they're not doing that. Since your attorney didn't update that section, I'm assuming you don't want to do that in this contract either, and you'll draw directly from your own funds. But I'm not a financial advisor and I can't tell you what to do, so I'm just, here's the language. And let us know how you want us to proceed with that element of the contract.
Yeah, I wasn't suggesting that we should or shouldn't do
Okay.
escrow either. I was just confused why it wasn't populated at all, you know?
That's.
Yeah, that was the quick, should we leave it in there? Nick? Does it matter?
If it's blank, then it doesn't apply. It's
Right.
cleaner. I'm looking at the attorney in the room. It's cleaner if you strike things out that you're not using, or zero them out. So we can strike that. And you can either do
Yeah,
that wet if you like, or put it in the PDF.
okay.
I guess I don't have a preference. Do you, Nina?
Well, I was just gonna say generally, about this contract, if it ends up that you are all substantively okay with it, but for these minor changes that the mayor is bringing up, that you could approve the agreement and direct the city attorney for final, legal, amendments. That's what I would recommend. And then we would
Yeah.
strike that, just to not slow things down. I don't, and I know Brandon is, very experienced with this type of stuff. So, that's what I would recommend from that's not specifically what we're talking about, but I think that's just a general point, that if you are substantively okay with the agreement, other than these other cleanup items, you approve the contract, except that you direct the city attorney to final approval, for these legal items and to be signed by whoever signs your agreements. That's just a general recommendation I have.
Yeah, I think the contract says that specifically, that like I can sign it. Once council's approved, I can sign it, including any kind of cleanup, you know?
Good.
Somewhere in there it says that.
Yeah.
It's good to me. Were there any other questions?
Yeah, I mean,
Yes.
so the Schedule A, again, I'm just gonna keep bringing it up because it
Yes.
doesn't make any sense to me, because it's all referring to the state.
Yeah.
Like, so,
So there is an effort being undergone by the Colorado Energy Office to, among other things that they're cleaning up and finalizing, is their template contracts.
Mhm.
The original enabling legislation for energy performance contracting only applied to the state and state agencies.
Mhm.
They then copied that base contract over to the local municipalities, and for the most part, they just added or other political subdivision or agency. And rereading that with you, I am aware, I'm looking at the, oh.
Yeah, there's like
Yeah, it
nothing.
just says state,
Yeah.
state. Okay. What we can do is we can go through search and replace that for municipality or political subdivision. Or I think we want to, that's the essential part of the contract, of the terms of, we owe this to you
Yeah,
and this is what you owe to us. So making sure that that's correct, I think, is pretty important.
yeah, that's what I thought too.
Yes.
And it's not just, the party, but, there's reference to things about state building programs that just don't fit with us, you
Sure.
know?
Yes. I think that's not a challenge for us to
Okay.
overcome, and make sure that we have it reviewed by
Great.
Brandon as well.
Okay. And then if you could you, I know this is kind of tedious, but can you walk through, please, the other schedules and where they usually refer to the IGA? Where is that information in the IGA?
Sure.
So for example, Schedule B just was not populated and it referred to,
So Schedule B
Something.
is the entirety of that thick
Okay.
document. That is the investment
Okay.
grade audit.
is that the scope?
That's the scope.
Okay,
And every other reference
Mhm.
that's in the contract is referring to a section of that scope.
Okay.
So when we say, here's the guaranteed savings, here's the guaranteed maximum pricing,
Mhm.
that whole spreadsheet, all of that is in the investment grade audit report.
Okay.
There was a time where we had numbered sections and it was a little easier to be like, go to this section. And
Yeah.
now it's more of a find, so Control F to find it, but doesn't help if you have hard copies in front of you.
Yeah. Okay, so then, let's see, Schedule C says, look, I don't know if this is the numbering you're talking about, but it says IGA section economic analysis. So maybe that's in our table of contents here somewhere. There is one.
Yes, so there should be a table of contents in the investment grade audit
see.
that lists that.
All right, so that's page 86. Close to the end here. And that's referring to the guaranteed utility consumption savings. Okay. And that's part of what you've shown us previously,
Yes,
I
ma'am.
believe.
Yes, ma'am. That's that. It's, again, we're not financial advisors, so we take a preliminary approach of here's what we heard your financing was, here's what the savings are, here's where your grants, incentives, et cetera, roll in, and here's what the annual payments would look like along
Mhm.
those lines.
Okay. I mean, there's a lot there. Are we in like a situation where we need to get this done tonight? Or, because honestly, I'm just not comfortable with the fact that I haven't read through this IGA at all, and it's so referenced in this document.
Mayor, if you're not comfortable, if council's not comfortable, we could take some more time. I don't think it would set us back too terribly far if we did it at the next council meeting,
Yeah.
which would be, oh gosh, I'm sorry, I don't have the 28th.
Okay.
Even if you feel more comfortable, we can take some time with that. That's at council's discretion, how you'd like to
Yeah.
do that.
Well,
But it
I'll look
wouldn't,
at
we,
the rest of council to confirm, but I mean, there's a lot here, and not having seen it yet makes me feel a little uncomfortable with it, but. Okay,
Thank
Yeah.
you for speaking up about that.
yeah,
It makes great reading at night.
I know, I know, I know. But I was reading all the other, the rest of the packet, and I was like, "Oh, I don't have everything I need here, so I just can't
Yeah.
even finish my
Well,
analysis.
and this is a lot different than any of our normal type of
Yeah.
contracts. It's much different with all of these state requirements that are in there, the templates that have to be there, and what those are not things that we normally deal with
Mhm.
in our most of our contracts that we
Definitely.
review and we approve. So if council wants to take a little extra time with that, I mean, I don't. That's your prerogative to do that, Mayor. And we'd be happy to continue. What we would do is we would open the item tonight and then just continue it.
Okay.
I think is probably the easiest way to go, Nina. Do something like that and continue it to the next meeting. And then I would encourage council members that have questions. The mayor sent us some prior to the meeting. If you have some specific questions after having reviewed this further, please send them to us.
Yeah. That way we can
Because,
make
well,
sure
I
we're
think
ready.
yeah, we can look at pushing it to the next meeting,
Mhm.
but it will start to have an impact on the project
Mhm.
if we start to go, if we keep on kicking this can down the street.
Yeah.
And again, there's nothing new in here. As far as you've seen the numbers, know what the project is. I understand that this is a different kind of format and you want to feel comfortable with it though.
Yeah.
So.
And I'm putting my name on it, so.
Yeah, absolutely. You are. Absolutely. Yep. Yep.
Should I change that signature block, by the way? Right now, it's got Devin on it.
Well, I signed
You
the,
signed the contract.
the
Well,
ordinance.
for this one, it would probably be the mayor's signature because it's of an amount higher than the city manager has approval for signature on. Yeah.
Okay. So there's the signature for the resolution and then there's a signature of a contract and those are two separate.
Do I need to sign both then, do you think?
You need to sign the resolution for sure.
Mhm. Well, yeah, I know that.
And I would say probably the contract.
Mhm.
Well, you can authorize, in the resolution, you can
Mhm.
authorize the city manager to sign on the council's bill. As long as I have authorization from the council and there's money in the budget, then I can do that.
Okay.
And then we don't have to track you down, Mayor, to sign the particular document.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. All right, I appreciate that. I'm sorry to put things back a couple weeks, but
Again, we talked about faith in this process. And so it's bigger than my one contract. We want you to go recommend this process, not just us, but what we do as an industry to
Mhm.
other cities and other city councils to say, yes, this did work. It is legitimate and we like how the process works. So you taking the time to get that confidence to the council is pretty important to us as well.
yeah, I hope you don't feel like I'm being, distrustful of you at all. I totally trust your
I
company.
don't
You've been
sign
very forthright
anything
with
I
us,
haven't
but
read.
I just, yeah, it's my own thing to want to be thoroughly informed.
I don't sign anything I haven't thoroughly written and it surprises or read and that surprises a lot of people. They're like, why did you actually read that? So like, I'm with you on that. I think that's legitimate. Do you have questions for me tonight during the rest of the study session or for the actual city council meeting? I know that you clearly haven't read it in the last 30 minutes while I've been up
Right.
here, but I would love to be available right now, and then if you'd like me to stick around for this evening as well.
You have anything? Anybody?
I don't have anything.
Mm.
Probably don't need to stay.
Yeah, I wouldn't think you'd need to hang around if we're gonna
Okay.
continue it.
But as just reiterating, please direct your questions. I am eager, my team is eager to answer them. So to
Yeah.
make sure that you feel comfortable with moving forward.
Yeah, and that would be my request to council. We're happy to do this and accommodate the council in these ways, but we need to be efficient and effective too. And so if you have questions, I'd like to get them before we show up here again and know that we are answering things. We have everything wrapped up for council and have met all of your expectations before we take it to the next meeting, because we will need to make a decision and move forward on it at that point.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Okay.
Madam Mayor, would it be helpful if we got like a list of this schedule matches this page so that it was?
I think
easier
that's
to
all
look
in
at?
there.
Okay.
That's all in there. I mean, each one of those schedules says which part of the IGA it was referring to.
It's just a lot.
Yeah.
It's a lot. Yeah.
Mhm. All right. Well, I appreciate you coming out. Sorry, I'm
Thank you.
postponing things
I'm
on you, but
looking forward to making this room cooler. I'm not nervous. It's just.
yeah, we're really looking forward to. So
Thank you, Niffy.
thank you. Okay. Do we have other things you want to cover before we get to the regular meeting?
Let me pull up the agenda now. So we do have an ordinance on first reading tonight. It is model traffic code amendment to that section of code. If you will recall, we had a significant change to our model traffic code. We went through that process. Now those things get submitted to the state as it is a model code from the state. And the state came back with us with some comments saying, we'd like you to include this language, which is all tonight is, saying, yes, very well, we'll include that. It's one sentence, I believe. And unless council has any questions about that, it's really pretty straightforward. Just some clarifying language on that. Doesn't change anything that the council has already approved as far as our changes to the model traffic code. So that's on first reading tonight. And then the other item that we haven't talked about is a resolution with approving an IGA with Arapahoe County for our coordinated election. And Jenna, did you have anything you wanted to touch on that tonight or during this portion, or?
Yeah, I can go over it.
Okay.
So this IGA, like Devin said, is for our coordinated election. It breaks out the responsibilities of the county for the election and then the responsibilities of the city. Biggest one for the city is that the cost for us to be able to coordinate with the county, it's just shy of $1 million for the county to hold this election, and our portion is about $1,300. So that's huge for us. And we've had a few of these contracts with, or several of these contracts with the county. They've always gone well. So continuing that partnership with the county for our coordinated election on November 4th. Biggest change on here is that we will also be submitting our ballot information in Spanish. So they will have a multilingual ballot this year.
That's great.
Yes.
Mm.
And then the other item along those lines is last year we hosted the voting service and polling center. This year we will not be hosting. So for the odd year elections, Arapahoe County is only required by state statute to have 4 polling centers. They are going to 6 polling centers just to kind of make sure that they are spread out. But for the Tri-City area, they're doing the polling center at Arapahoe Community College. None of the actual municipalities will be hosting one this year, but we will still be a location for general elections going forward. But just wanted to make sure that everybody was aware that we won't be one this year. And happy to answer any questions on that resolution.
Great. Any questions? Yeah.
It is not hosting polling here. Is it just budgetary?
Yes, it's quite expensive for them to host a polling center here. So it's $1,000 a day, generally speaking. And so with their budget restraints, they don't have it built in for each municipality to have one on the off year election. Voter turnout drops tremendously for odd year elections, not being a general election. So they see about 10% of voters in person for those odd year elections. So it's just trying to find that balance. The other big thing they look at is like accessibility and transportation, those kinds of things, and just trying to find a central location for everybody. So,
But we've communicated to them that we liked hosting one here before. And so during the even year, hopefully we'll be able to continue to do that, continue to build the turnout here for that.
and the other big deciding factor is that on odd years, the phases are longer and they don't have, or I guess they don't have phases. So the voting center is open for this set amount of days. Whereas like on the general election, they rolled out different phases. So they had like a 8-day polling center, they had a 4-day, they had a 2-day, they had a 1-day. And so you were able to kind of fit into those realms. But like since using this location, like with city council meetings in court, kind of we can't block it out for like the 2-week period. So a little bit of restrictions around that. Any other questions?
I don't see anything.
All right.
Okay. Do you want to go ahead and give us any manager's report? Do you think 5 minutes is good enough?
Get it done.
Okay.
Yes, I'd be happy to, Mayor.
Okay.
Let's go through here. So attended the CML conference. So my report is going to be short and sweet. We had been gone to the CML conference and then to the July 4th week kind of holiday. So it's been a little bit slow, which is nice. So everybody gets a little slow time during the summer here. But the CML conference I found was very helpful. I appreciate council letting me attend with many of you there. I found some very good sessions. I particularly I have some takeaways that I took from some sessions on engagement of immigrants in your community, as well as some waste diversion ideas and discussions I had with people from the state there on that. So I thought that was fantastic. I want to thank our city attorneys for hosting us. I know you weren't there, Nina, but thank you for hosting us on dinner one night. That was much appreciated. I also attended the DRCOG Regional Housing Strategy Focus Group. This was a focus group that they invited some city and county managers to provide them some feedback on the housing assessment that DRCOG has been doing. We're going to be following up on that. Andrew will be doing a session with us on that in probably in August, right, Andrew? Okay. So more on that housing strategy to follow, but it was a good session. Can do this past Friday, we hosted a tour of the Ready to Work and Navigation Center facility for folks. So that was great. Chief was able to join us and a number of staff were able to join as well. And that was, I think, very informative for folks to see as well. I talked with them about possibly putting together a tour for the judges of the Tri-Cities. So each of the judges, municipal judges would have the opportunity to visit the facility and see what's going on with that. And they were very open to that as well. I had a handout to you. You'll this little front and back pager. We are going to have an increase in our trash rates. It's that time of year. As you will recall, we first put in place a contract with Republic Services for Trash back in 2014. So we had about 10 straight years of very, very low increases. They were 1% to 3% maybe increases on an annual basis. And then you'll recall when we renewed the contract this last time, we put in a different formula as far as how the cost model could be amended, or how that cost model would work, I should say. And so it's going to result in a little bit larger increases. This increase is going to be 4.38% year over year. But if you look on the back of the handout I gave you, it gives you a breakdown of where that is. Most people have a 96-gallon service, right? A 96-gallon cart. And they're paying right now $22.14 a month. The increase will bring that to $23.21 a month. So an increase of $1.07. Not too bad, not too much. And as we said, we've had 10 years of very low rates. Our rates are by far the lowest in the metro area for the most part. So that has been a very good deal for the city and a good relationship between the city and Republic Services. Republic will be sending out postcards to everybody, notifying them of the rate increase. But wanted you guys to be aware of that. And if you have any questions, you can refer people to me and to staff to happy to answer questions about that. They can also refer them to Republic Service
Mhm.
directly into the website. They'll have information. The last thing, little bit of sad news. I wanted to let you guys know that Teresa Adler will be leaving us. She's leaving service with Pinnacle. So tonight will be Teresa's last meeting with us. I know she's joining us online tonight. And so we're having a little get together and goodbye for Teresa tomorrow. Saf, if you're by, come by and what are we, I think we're doing pizza. Yep, pizza. Huh? Yeah, okay. Doing some pizza if you want to come by at a lunch hour. So we wish Teresa all the best. She's been a tremendous asset for the city of Sheridan for quite some time now. She is the historical financial depository of knowledge for our city ever since I've been here. So we are definitely going to miss her very, very
There
much.
she is.
There she is. Hi, Teresa. We're very much going to miss her. We wish her very well. What we're working on right now, and I know Teresa's helping out with the transition with Pinnacle for people who will step into her role, and it will be Wendy, and I forget Wendy's last name at the moment. Teresa?
McFarland.
Lindy McFarland, thank you. Wendy has worked with the city and behind the scenes on a number of things for a number of years. So Wendy is not a stranger to the city and is familiar with Sheridan in much of our processes. So her stepping in to help with that will be hopefully ensure a bit of a smooth transition, but it will be a transition that will be different, and we will miss Teresa. And I'm very much going to miss Teresa during the budget. So he would read my mind during the budget, and that was
You're gonna have to think really hard now.
I'm sorry,
You're gonna
Mayor?
have to think really hard now.
I'm going to have to think twice as hard now. Thank you, Teresa.
Well, thank you. You guys have made my life easy, and I am going to miss all of you. And it's bittersweet, but it's all, everything happens for a reason. So yes, so you will be in good hands. And so yes, thank you. Thank you so much for being such a wonderful group.
Oh, thank you. I feel like I've been working with you so long. I mean, it's been,
Yeah.
I mean, because we brought him on right after I joined council.
Mm-hmm.
I think Teresa became our primary not too much longer after that. So
Yep. I've been with Pinnacle since November of 2008. So and Sheridan since then too.
Yeah.
So
Well, yeah, if nothing else, we're gonna lose all that history.
well, we have things written down, and Wendy's been on for 6 years, and it's yes. So and you've got great staff too. So yes.
Okay. I was asking Devin who's gonna have all the answers on the SRA now. Who's gonna know it inside and out without Teresa, but
Well, I'm still gonna somehow come back on December 1st of 2029, and the last bond payments are paid. We are having a party.
Oh, happy
Dallas,
dance.
everyone.
Yeah.
awesome. Well, we'll miss you. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
And that's all I have, Mayor.
Okay. All right. Well, we're over time, so we'll move on to our next meeting. Let me get things up here. I will end the work session at 7:02. Okay. Andrea, would you mind giving us a fresh introduction?
Yes, ma'am. Thank you. Good afternoon, everybody. I'm Andrea with the Community Language Cooperative. We're going to practice language justice, and we're going to provide simultaneous interpretation in English and in Spanish. Once we turn on the interpretation, please make sure that you click the globe that is going to come up at the bottom of your screen or the three little dots or where it says more and select your preferred language. Hola a todos, soy Andrea con la Community Language Cooperative. Vamos a practicar la justicia del lenguaje el día de hoy y tendremos interpretación simultánea en inglés y en español. Una vez que aprendamos la interpretación, por favor, dale clic al globo que va a aparecer en la parte inferior de tu pantalla o a los tres punticos donde dice más. And host, we can start interpretation now.
Thank you, Andrea. All right, I will call this regular meeting of the Sheridan City Council to order for July 14th, 2025. Time is 7:04 p.m. Can we have roll call, please? We all, oh, doesn't say I'm present. Because I got to do the right thing. I'm like, who's holding up the show? And it's me. Jeez, I told you to keep me on track.
Bad. I was thinking about Teresa still leaving.
All right, Councilmember Moreno is on vacation tonight. If we could have a motion to excuse his absence, please. I have a motion from Councilmember Whitaker and a second from Councilmember Kelly. Any discussion on that motion? Please cast your votes. That motion is approved. Okay, can we please rise for the invocation, followed by the Pledge of Allegiance?
Father in heaven, we acknowledge that we do not always have clarity regarding what we should do or where we should go. We need your guidance and wisdom to help us make the right decisions in this meeting. As we discuss various topics and ideas, we pray that you will give us clarity of thought and understanding. Give us discernment to distinguish between good and bad, truth and falsehood. In Psalm 32:8, you promise to instruct you and teach you in the way you should go. I will counsel you with my loving eye on you. We trust that your guidance will lead us to the best decisions. We also pray for open hearts and minds to receive your wisdom. May we be willing to listen and consider different perspectives and ideas. Thank you for being a God who is always faithful to guide us. May your will be done in this meeting. Amen.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Do we have any updates to our agenda? Great. We'll start with staff reports. Do you have anything else to share with us, City Clerk?
Yes, just a couple of things. So just a reminder of the judge's retirement party is going to be next Tuesday at 1:30. And then the Boots Not Suits event with Arapahoe County is coming up. That's Thursday, July 24th. If you'd like to attend, please RSVP to me soon so we can get numbers.
And we do have a table reserved.
We do. We have a table.
Mhm.
So just let me know if you're going to be attending or not.
Great.
And that is all I have. Thank you.
Thank you. City Attorney, do you have anything else for us?
No, thank you for having me.
Yeah, thanks for being here. How about you, City Manager?
Mayor,
Anything further?
nothing else, but happy to answer any questions right now.
Anybody have questions? We'll move along. Chief?
Mine will be quick. Just the car show was this weekend. Thank you all for who were able to attend. We had planned for maybe 300 cars attending. We went well over 300. So we think we had about 350 cars. So it was our biggest show yet. And Councilman Camacho spent a lot on a mailbox again that he special ordered. Somebody else wanted that mailbox too, but thank you for always supporting us and buying those mailboxes. It means a lot. So thank you.
Did you win the bid?
He did.
At a high
You got-
price though.
He got in a little trouble, I think, but and then at least this is the first meeting that I've been here that our clock has been up. So I hope everybody likes the clock. So yeah.
Yes.
Thanks
great
to
job.
everyone and thanks to all of you for the support and of course, city manager for getting it done. So thank you. We really
Looks
appreciate it.
amazing.
So I'm open to any questions.
Okay. Any questions for the chief? No? Okay. Thank you, Chief.
Thank you.
All right, we'll move on to the minutes. Minutes of the regular city council meeting of June 23rd, 2025. I have a motion from Councilmember Whitaker and a second from Councilmember Camacho. Any questions or discussion on the minutes? Please cast your votes. That motion is approved. Next, we have the consent agenda, the approval of disbursements, authorized disbursements that have been or will be made from June 16th, 2025 to June 30th, 2025 in the amount of $623,904.44 per the referenced and attached transfer of funds. I have a motion from Councilmember Camacho and a second from Councilmember Stang. Any questions or discussion on the disbursements? Please cast your votes. That motion is approved unanimously. Next, we have items for individual consideration. We have an ordinance on first reading. Ordinance 13-2025, an ordinance of the City Council of the City of Sheridan, Colorado, Section 38-19, regarding the adoption of the 2024 Model Traffic Code of the Sheridan Municipal Code. There's a motion from Councilmember Whitaker, second by Councilmember Kelly. Anyone have anything they want to discuss on Ordinance 13? All right, please cast your votes. Motion is approved unanimously. We have two resolutions tonight. The first one is Resolution 14 of 2025, a resolution of the City Council of the City of Sheridan, Colorado, approving an intergovernmental agreement between the City of Sheridan and Board of County Commissioners of Arapahoe County on behalf of the Arapahoe County Clerk and Recorder regarding the conduct and administration of November 4, 2025 coordinated election. Have a motion from Councilmember Whitaker and a second from Councilmember Kelly. Any discussion on Resolution 14? Please cast your votes. The motion is approved unanimously. Then we have Resolution 15 of 2025, a resolution of the City Council of the City of Sheridan, Colorado, approving an energy performance contract with Year Out Energy LLC.
And Mayor, I would recommend that the council, somebody make a motion to continue to the, what's the date that you have on there, Jenna? I'm sorry.
28th.
Oh, here we go. She's got it. Jenna's got it for you. So we just need
Okay.
that motion, a second and a vote on that, Mayor.
Someone like to make that motion? You just need to read that top line, basically.
I don't have my glasses on. I can't see it. It's not on my computer.
To continue to July 28th.
Is that adequate? Yeah. Okay.
I'll second that.
I'll get it on the minutes.
Yeah, mine.
Okay.
Yeah,
Yep,
mine-
we know what you want.
So I have a,
Screen doesn't
thank
say it.
you. I have a motion from Councilmember Stang and a second from
Yeah.
Councilmember Whitaker on that motion. Anyone have any discussion or questions on the motion to continue? Thank you. Okay. Please cast, can we cast on that? Yeah. Thank you. That motion is approved unanimously. Okay, we're up to Mayor's Choice. I also was able to attend the Colorado Municipal League Conference. I attended a good session on the energy performance contracts. I was gonna look at Mel when I said that, but she's gone. Because I shared in that session, you know, the fact that we split the cost of her position between us and Englewood, because I thought that was a good suggestion for other small communities if they were trying to figure out how to get their sustainability plans off the ground and just weren't making any progress without having staff, you know, because that's how we got there. Otherwise, I don't think we ever would have got there.
I'm not sure how we would have, honestly,
Yeah.
Mayor. It was something that I know we wanted to do and the council
Mm-hmm.
was interested in, but just funding personnel is so difficult and yeah, finding that would have been very difficult to do on our own, for sure.
So it was a good session. It was the mayor of North Glen, Meriden Lady, because they just had opened a new municipal center. So she was talking about all the great sustainability features there. And then someone from Year Out was there, so giving the presentation. And then the other thing I wanted to bring up, I had the chance to go to the mayor's mingle. All the mayors in Colorado who are attending get together and share stories, you know, kind of good or bad stories, suggestions for each other. One idea that I thought was interesting, and council can kind of think about this and see what you think of it, but it's from Arvada, and they have a process for suggestions for new business to consider. So if you're one of the members of the council, you have an idea, the idea is to kind of get it vetted and get some sort of support before you even bring it before the council. So you have to have two people, two council members, come together, make a suggestion to the council. At that point, the council says, yes, we want to consider this or not. But it's a way to kind of, I guess we don't have this problem as much probably as Arvada would, where maybe you've got ideas popping up all over and you don't know if they go with your goals and, you know, things are coming out of the woodwork. But maybe it's something to consider, you know, for the next council if you find things are different. I thought it was an interesting idea to just make sure that you've already got some support there at least before you come to council with something, and then to have the broader council say, yes, we want staff to work on it, you know.
Mayor, was that business recruitment you said?
New business. So like new business for the council to consider.
Oh, new business. Oh,
Uh-huh.
okay. No,
Yeah.
scratch this out. I thought that you were talking about new business
Like
recruitment.
no, suggestions from the council members of,
Gotcha.
you know, legislation that they want to bring up. You know?
Gotcha.
Yeah.
If I could jump in, some of our clients have rules of procedure, and we could help you with that if you would like. That give options, help hear what you want to do. But I mean, I'll obviously defer to the manager, but we're here to help.
And we have the rules and procedure, but it doesn't specifically call that out.
No, it doesn't.
It has some, I don't even know if it's quite similar. It's a process in there that is primarily, if I remember language, it's been a little while since I looked at it. It was primarily driven by the mayor. In discussions with whoever the city manager was, but we could look at that in inclusion. You know, we generally look at council rules and procedures like once a year or so and say, okay, what do we need to amend or do that? So we'll make a note of that, Mayor.
Okay. And then just from tonight, I wanted to bring up, do you think we need to reconsider when we get our packet based on, I mean, I've had this happen a couple times where I find something over the weekend, we get to the meeting and I'm like finding information last minute. Because you guys can't answer stuff over the weekend and I wouldn't expect you to, right? But if I don't get the packet until 3 o'clock on Friday, I'm probably not going to find those questions by then.
Yeah, we are trying to get that out earlier, Mayor.
Yeah.
Sometimes it works, as you've seen. Sometimes you get the packet on Thursday and sometimes where we have to wait.
It's not meant to be a criticism
I
at
understand,
all.
yeah.
It's just, I'm just trying to make it easier for all of us that, you know, we don't come up with things over the weekend that, and then things are derailed for the meeting on Monday.
Yeah, and we're happy to look at that. It doesn't happen that often.
No, it
though,
doesn't.
Mayor. So I think if we, and I know Jenna does a fantastic job getting the packet together and
Yeah.
putting it out, but sometimes it is literally herding cats to get everybody to get their stuff in on time, right? And so,
I'm
yes,
sure,
it's
I'm
still, it's too nice to say it, I'll say it. Sometimes it is herding cats to get everybody to get their stuff in. So we stress to everybody that when you have materials for the packet, here's what the expectation is for when we get it. Sometimes it's just unavoidable. And sometimes it ends up with things going in last minute and quickly, and it doesn't get vetted as well as it should. So yeah, I feel you, and I personally take responsibility for some of the stuff that we had to do with the contract with the ESG and that was a lot of information and a lot of it came in Friday.
Yeah.
And late. So my apologies that that wasn't properly vetted as we usually do, but
Again, I'm not trying to point fingers. I just want to make sure that everyone
yeah.
is working in the same direction and you all have time to answer our questions.
Yeah, absolutely. And I'll have a discussion with our staff, our department heads about that and see if we have some suggestions and look at maybe some other ways to do it or yeah.
It's been one of my goals to get it out by Thursday afternoon.
Yeah.
So just trying to bump up some of those deadlines.
And I can't point fingers because it was actually me who made the meetings on Monday shortly after I joined council. They used to be on Wednesday, I think. It's been a long time now, but I was the one who got the day change. So, I mean, that's always something the next council could do too. And then you have a little more leeway during the week to respond to things, you know. Anyway, those of you who might still be here next year, think about that if you like Mondays. Okay, that's all I had. Anybody have anything for council members' choice?
I do.
Okay.
Yeah, you're on.
On Friday, I was able to attend down at downtown at the college, the Colorado Democratic Latino Caucus. It's for Colorado local elected officials. It was pretty interesting. I got to do like a Q&A with Attorney General Phil Weiser. Got to do a Q&A with the Senator, Michael Bennett. Met some really cool people, was able to kind of we were able to sit around and talk about public education for the Latino students, water conservation and management, public health, especially focusing on a lot of the cuts now and how Colorado is going to be affected by a lot of the cuts with Medicaid and all that stuff. And we were able to talk about immigration with in the communities as far as their relationship with the police officers and everything like that. So it was a really nice, it wasn't a lot of people. There was few people from, I want to say, San Luis Valley. There was a couple of council members there, some people up north. We had that came down, some commissioners that came. It was a good discussion, just kind of giving a feel of some changes that are going to be in Colorado and how it affects, the Latino community. So it was nice.
That sounds good.
Yeah.
Sounds like it was it's inspiring and
Yeah,
nice.
it was informative, sure.
Awesome. Go ahead.
Yeah, I just had a couple things to mention. Thank you for the opportunity to go to CML again this year. I think this might have been my 4th CML, and it was awesome. It was great to hear Governor Polis talk about the top priorities being public safety, backed up by something like $38 million to go to police departments to expand going over the next 10 years. That's probably not a ton per department over 10 years, but it's neat to see that at least the public safety, which is Arapahoe County's main concern, at least as far as the constituents say, that the state is behind it. So that public safety and affordable housing are, I think, really good focuses. So I was really happy to see that.
Great.
The state is a little bit more aligned with us right now. The 4th was, not as much like a war zone as it has been in the previous years with all of the fireworks and stuff. But one of the folks in my community said that he found some gun shell casings in the street following, believing that one of the neighbors was popping some off. And it's always been kind of a fear of mine to get, just some kid gets hit by a random bullet. And so it just had me kind of thinking, this is such a hard thing to police. Fireworks is really difficult, it's just, how do you know who set them off? And if it's in front of someone's house, is it their responsibility? And I saw that there are some other communities that are using drone patrols to identify where, the flashes are coming off, and they're actually finding people. And I just wonder if maybe next year on 4th of July, if we could use our awesome big drone to patrol a little bit and look for these flashes and look for the people out in the streets that are causing trouble. Because they might not be trying to set fires, but it sets the stage for other people. And I don't, I just didn't, I don't want to see that in our communities. The kids in this community deserve a lot more than that kind of a, that kind of behavior. And then on a great note, man, the car show. Wow. It was awesome. Every year's been great, but like this year, many cars I didn't see the previous years. Just a great vibe, lots of people hanging out and having a good time. The vibe was awesome and safe. So I just wanted to say good job, Chief.
Well,
Love what you're
thank
doing.
you. It's mostly the Night Owl
Yeah.
Car Club that does it, but everyone loves that venue, and it gives a great exposure to Sheridan. People love it, and they talk about Sheridan and how great it is, and I get to brag along with them. So
Yeah.
it's definitely doing a lot of good things, I believe. And that was our 5th year. And of course, we still haven't had any trouble there, and I don't anticipate it
Yeah.
because the type of people that go there are into the cars, not into other things. And
Yeah.
so thank you. Again, thank you all for attending. And as far as using the drone for the 4th of July, I will definitely start looking at that. I would think there was some danger with the explosives going off and the drone going, but if someone else is doing it, maybe we can get some tips on how they're using that. So I will start looking at that. Do you have any idea what jurisdictions we're using? Did you
I could
hear?
probably find it out.
If you do,
Yeah, I
I'll
should
do
saved
some
it. I saw
research
it on
too.
Twitter, and I should have saved it to share with you guys, but I'll come up.
Yeah, it's
on
probably
that.
Aurora. I know, yeah, Aurora always has their drone up. I see their drone all the time. Yeah.
Is it following you?
Sometimes I be feeling like I always see it. Yeah.
That's our drone following you in Aurora, so.
Man. Yeah, and the car show, I think I'm gonna bring my car next year.
All right.
You have a nice.
Yeah, bring my car next year.
And I don't think we had an opportunity to do it this year, but the car club always sends their thanks to all of you in the city and South Suburban for allowing us to do the show the
Yeah.
way that they do. So,
I did bring the plaque that they gave us. I gave it to Devin
Good.
before the meeting. Yeah.
okay. Okay. Thank you.
Yeah.
There was no trash. I walked the park the following morning. It was just like it hadn't even happened. It was awesome.
That's the intent. There was some
Yeah.
chalk that was on the sidewalks and we got a blower and blew it off. And then I walked around at the very end and picked up a couple of things. So I think we did pretty good.
That
So
was great.
Awesome. Thanks. Anybody else from council have anything they want to share? Okay, some good updates tonight. All right, next we have time for public comments. So if we have people who have signed up to speak to council tonight, we have 2 minutes per speaker and up to 20 minutes total. So do you want to go ahead, Leila?
Hi, Madam Mayor, Council. Here I am again. Not to,
Can
you
you,
know.
Give your name and address for the record.
Oh,
Sorry.
Layla Sanders, I live at 4100 Southdale Court. I just want to follow up on some of the things that I've come to council about previously. So the first time I came to council, I came to cry about Clay and Oxford and that horrible median. I was lucky enough the first time I came to have like the maintenance managers and those folks here to talk to about that. Their solution was that they were going to get like this bounce back sign. That lasted for 2 to 3 weeks. Then I had gone on vacation. I came back home and it was gone. And I asked my husband about it and he said, yeah, me and my dog were out across the street and we saw the whole thing happen. Yet again, I just want to reiterate, I don't want to be part of the problem. I want to be part of the solution. And the solution that I can see is, if not restriping the entirety of Oxford east of that area, then at the very least, that turn lane. That white line for the turn lane is in the wrong place. And if you're not used to that intersection, you follow that, you're going to hit it
Gonna go
every
right
time.
over the median. Yeah.
Every time. Every time.
Yeah.
And again, over and over and over again, I have seen that. Now it's a yellow floppy thing, and I've seen it replaced several times since then. My last thing is, I do want to talk about rubbish bins. Still nothing at that bus stop over there. And pet waste stations, still nothing over in those areas. And I think it's kind of crucial.
Okay.
I went over a minute.
That's okay. Where was it that you were looking for the pet waste? I can't remember.
anywhere-
Along Oxford?
Oxford,
Okay.
yeah, it would be really helpful just because I know so many people in our neighborhoods walk their dogs in that area. I don't think that a pet waste station would be appropriate for all of the garbage because, as I said before, people go to 7-Eleven and then they walk down to the bus stop and they're eating their pizza or drinking their drink. I don't want the pet waste stations to become the rubbish bin, but I feel like, again, we need to follow up on this and try to take care of our neighbors.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay. We have other folks who want to speak. welcome to come up and speak to council. Okay. Not seeing any more. We will adjourn our meeting. The time is 7:29 p.m. Thank you all for being here. Yeah,
Yeah.
you know I like to try to get through it.